Good day, everyone out there. It's the 5th of September, 2000. In fact, I'm in the bike path, so I better watch out where I'm going here. 5th of September, 2025. It's getting on to be about 3 o'clock. Pretty soon, about 10 minutes to 3. And as you all know, so much is happening in the Far East. I guess you would call it the Far East. Right now, there is the Eastern Economic Forum going on in Vladivostok, right after the Chinese Victory Day Parade, right after another forum, the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. All this stuff is really, really big stuff. And of course, more of the stuff is going to be coming about. Putin is having a really, really busy time out there. And yeah, he's going from one place to the next, and I guess so is Xi most of the time. I don't know if Xi is going to Russia for Vladivostok or not. Oh, by the way, I'm at the back side for the most part. I guess there's an entrance over there, otherwise there wouldn't be signs, of a big shopping mall at Komena Horka. And I don't know, I never go back this way here. Most people obviously don't. You don't see so many. So it's really crowded out in the front. I didn't want to go out there, but anyway, as far as some of these things I've already mentioned about the Victory Day Parade, I've mentioned a lot about the SCO in the past days, and it's a very strange thing, not getting that many views, but I already know, and I've already put out, other people know this already, and we have to talk about YouTube. Even Tulsi Gabbard has been talking about this sort of stuff. YouTube, you know, is part of Google, so I guess she was always mentioning this in relation to Google, and it's a far more extreme over here for those of us expats, those that speak English. I guess even the Belarusian people, those that speak English here in Belarus, that Google, apparently they have a special hatred in their heart for Belarus and English-speaking people putting out news in Belarus. So a lot of people have been mentioning that. The Irish partisan left, and he was already talking about that. I think right after he left, he was talking about what they're doing, screwing him over big time. And I guess it was Anfisa, I've mentioned it as well. She left here, and you know, a lot of people are kind of giving up. I know people that are getting, they went on YouTube at the same time that they went on to Rumble, and they're up to, well, sometimes they even get 55 to 60,000 people watching their videos on Rumble, and they get 140 on YouTube, which is a far bigger platform, far more exposure, and yet they get far, far, far less. And even a lot of people have told me that they've noticed sometimes, you know, when I have certain views, like say for example, you know, and I've seen this myself, you have, for example, maybe 67 views, and the next time you look, your views are 54, like people unseeing your videos. That's absolutely impossible. That can't be happening. And then people have told me that they put up comments and their comments get deleted, and that the YouTube does not accept the like. They keep pressing the like button and YouTube will not accept the like. And I mean, people have even left messages on YouTube as to those effects. So it's like, what's this word? Obvious, very obvious. And you know, that's when it was not so bad. It's much, much worse now. For example, I used to get at least, I think per hour it was around, at the very beginning, there's some people watching over there. I used to be getting, say, like 10 views per hour to start off with. And then now it's, I don't know, 10 views maybe in a day or something like that. Obviously some messed up stuff. They must be speaking English. I guess I was going to say something. Anyway, no big deal. But I don't know why it's distracting when people are looking at you, especially when they're smiling like that. I kind of want to look at, this is like a dead end over here. I don't want to be going anymore. They're doing construction, building a big parking garage here for this thing. Lots of construction, as you know, going on all over in Belarus, and particularly around Minsk. So construction zones while the weather is good. And the winter, some of these will be continuing, but a lot of them won't. I mean, I gotta wait for the light again. It's not good. I was talking about the economic forum, but Putin was putting out incredible stuff. Look at that, I can't even cut across the street. There's no sidewalk over there. He was putting out a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of like bridges being built, metaphorically as well as physically, between China and Russia over certain areas. Let me try to go across and go through these crowds here. I'll tell you what, the more crowded part is in the front. That's why I come back here, because there's hardly anybody here. As crowded as you might think it looks already. But no, and they're also building like highways, bridges to North Korea. So that is really opening up. It's absolutely incredible. A lot of this stuff that's going on. And Vladivostok, he was saying they had quite a few years of negative growth, people are actually leaving the Far East area. And now it's steadily growing, and it's and certain things like GDP, things have doubled, everything is doubling. So it's really a growing area. It's like an extension of China, because China's over there, and Vietnam is growing, all of these Asian countries. So that is definitely, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that is where future economy is. And Lukashenko said that. How many people have said that? And a lot of people are putting out videos, you know, truth activists, the ones you all know, and they're also saying, you know, that the West, it's like they're in panic, and they're very angry. Very angry. Trump is trying to hide it, say, oh, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't bother me. All the reporters are asking him questions about this. What do you think about them? And then, of course, Donald Trump, as you all know, that was this big truth, I guess he calls it a truth, that he put out. And a lot of people commented on that. I commented that on one video, I think 2 or 3 videos ago. You know, and it's very clear that he is absolutely furious. He is furious. You know, he should be furious not at himself necessarily, but at the United States and his predecessors, and not only that, the system of the United States and how it works, and how it commits suicide within itself, shoots itself in the foot, same as Europe. And you know, it's like I say in a lot of videos, a lot of people do, and it's so amazing how Germany, and I don't understand it, because, and I put out this 2 years ago, I've been making videos like this. So why would Germany, seriously, why would Germany be constantly doing things that destroys their country? Constantly. They're making these decisions that are detrimental. And I've also been saying, and a lot of people are talking about a lot of these deaths of these Alternative for Deutschland party members in Nordrhein-Westfalen. You know, people thought it was really strange when 4 of them died within a period of, I think, 15 days. And then the next night, 2 more of them died. And then the next day, another one died. All of them in the same German state, Nordrhein-Westfalen, which just happens to have a vote, you know, in 10 days, about 10 days. It's absolutely incredible. And these were the politicians that were going to be running for different places in that vote. Very strange that they just decided that they're going to die right before the election. And even I cannot get over this. I mentioned it yesterday. And how can anybody get over this? That even people in the AFD are saying, oh, there's nothing strange here. It's just, basically they're saying, oh, it's a coincidence. They're unrelated, and things like that. And it's like, what the heck? You know? Yeah, they're unrelated. And it's strange. You have, how many other parties are running? And none of those politicians died in the past month. At least a month. So how can, within just slightly over 2 weeks, 7 politicians running in that one Bundesstaat, 7 of them dying? Oh, it's just coincidence. Come on now. I mean, oh, it's just, there's nothing strange going on here. I don't know. I cannot get over that. I'm sure you all agree with me. Okay, so some of this other news, it's not really going to be a long video, and there's always so much news, and I save all these things, and I have a comment to say about everything. I probably will be changing this site a little bit for the winter time, and I'll be maybe doing this stuff indoors, and I should probably learn a little bit on how to show you little videos from different sites and things, and then make comments on it. And then it's very possible the videos could be very long, or I'd be cutting up things and making smaller videos. If I'm going to even do this at all, it's very possible that I could be looking into something very soon, so I'm not gonna, set anything in stone. And okay, some of the latest stuff coming out of Kiev is that Russia, I said yesterday, there was some crazy stuff that Zelensky says. He's still saying crazy things. It's like he's practicing to go back to his old job as being a comedian, a clown, and anyway. So there's a narrative coming out of Kiev that said Russia is not winning the conflict. If Russia's not winning, is Ukraine winning? Ukraine did not say that they're winning. He said that Russia is not winning. And let me just continue here. First it was put out by Zelensky, and then it was put out by I don't even know who this woman is. She was wearing kind of a pretty colorful dress. She's not a beauty queen, of course, but anyway, she's also putting out the same thing, and that Russia has gained no territory, no territory at all. So all of this stuff that you're hearing is propaganda, she said. And I think even Zelensky is saying that. It's just propaganda. It's Russian propaganda. Like everything is Russian propaganda. Nothing is ever true from Russia. They're all a bunch of liars. So, absolutely incredible. So, and I think they're even putting out that they have never made any territorial gains. That's absolutely amazing. And so why in the heck do they even bother then? And Putin puts out a completely different story. And it sounds to me a little bit more like it makes sense. But if you also listen to the Russian side, it's always flowers and buttercups, and they don't say that much that is negative, which is not quite true. So, and related to this, Donald Trump, he just said, so anyway, this stuff that I just now told you, I think it was put out today, even today. Zelensky probably said that tomorrow or yesterday, but somebody else said it today, echoing Zelensky. And Trump, he put out yesterday that over 17,000 soldiers died in 1 week. In 1 week, in the conflict zone between Ukraine and Russia. And he's trying to say most all of them are Russian and a few Ukrainian. And it's like, that is very strange. I'll tell you what, if Russia is running an offensive, normally you do lose more soldiers when you are on the offensive as when you are on the defensive. And Russia is, I think, running an offensive. But I think of course the numbers did go up recently compared to what they were a few weeks ago. And even Colonel Douglas Macgregor put out, far more closer to the truth, that Russia, their losses, I don't know if he said single digits. It wasn't single digits. It was like double digits. It's like maybe 27 soldiers in the entirety of the battle. At the same time, Ukraine was losing nearly 2,000 soldiers. And then, of course, it changed, and that was a change. You guys are going to ask me, well, how do I know this? I do know this. And I have it from very, very good sources. Anyway, and I don't know the past week what happened, this week that Donald Trump is talking about. But the truth of the matter is, it's not that. If I wanted to be a sneaky and devilish guy, I could even give you all the names of all of the Russian soldiers, every single one of their names that die within a day or so. And I'm not going to do that. And then, of course, I probably would never get any information again if I did something like that. But lately, Russia has been losing more soldiers. But it is nothing like what Donald Trump says. Absolutely nothing. That's a complete and total exaggeration. And, of course, that's probably coming from Ukraine. And they're probably, again, trying to say, we're winning. And of course, they're not winning. They're not winning at all. I don't know. In a lot of places, maybe they are holding, but Russia is still taking, towns and even little territories, even though that is not their main goal. Their main goal is not to do that. So, yeah, but Donald Trump, of course, has been getting fed a lot of fake information. And the strange thing is, I guess Donald Trump, when he hears that, he thinks that is all true. And I don't know what Vladimir Putin tells him, if they are having these talks or not, or if he'll even believe Vladimir Putin. I don't know. If he doesn't, then I guess he's falling for the propaganda of the Hate Russia Club, which includes many people within the United States as well. It's not just all these Europeans, you know, on their coalition of the willing Hate Russia Club. And I talked with various other people, and it turns out that a lot of people say, I think even the Russians are saying this. I came up with this opinion on my own, but Russians have also said it, I found out, that they think that it's in the DNA of these people, of Ukraine, obviously. A lot of these people, these regime people in Ukraine, you know, because it goes back quite a while, but it goes back much further in the elites of the British and in the elite of the Germans especially, probably also the elites of the French. I'm not that familiar with the French, but I am familiar because I did study German history, and you can look, and I've looked at even history in Britain, and they have, for honestly centuries, they have hated the Russians. They have hated the Russians. They have a seething hatred of Russians, and they want to conquer and destroy Russia in any way they possibly can. And of course, it's amazing, when Russia was weak during the time of Yeltsin, that they didn't do even more damage. I guess they were thinking that it's going to continue that way. You know, when Clinton and all of that were there, and they were pilfering Russia big time, stealing lots of their wealth and who knows what, their resources. You know, but I guess maybe they should have gotten a little bit more vicious, maybe on the scale of how Israeli governments have a complete and utter hatred of those people that are in Palestine. So, and they want to steal all that land, of course. So, okay, what else we got here? There's a fun fact. Let's see, maybe it's not so fun, I don't know. Fun fact, the US has been having a shortage of eggs lately, believe it or not. A shortage of eggs. So in July, they imported from Russia $455,000 worth of eggs from Russia. So it's very obvious, isn't it, that they're fueling the war. They're fueling the war. The United States is fueling the war. Not only do they buy uranium, but they buy eggs from Russia. So they're fueling the conflict. What a bunch of nasty people. And Donald Trump and his people, they put sanctions on India because they're fueling Putin's war. But who else is fueling Putin's war? Oh, it's the United States. You know, so I don't know, is the United States going to sanction themselves because they're buying eggs, and that fuels the conflict? That fuels the war machine for Putin. And the uranium fuels the war machine for Vladimir Putin. And who knows what else they buy? Absolutely incredible. And you all know that it has nothing to do with that. You all know that the whole Donald Trump vowed to completely destroy the BRICS because he fears that they're trying to replace the US dollar. That's what his words are. But it's not really that. The United States, and I put out in many videos, you know, doing this for quite a long time and being in the military myself and talking to politicians and a lot of generals and things like that, and they've even told me this stuff, volunteered it, I didn't even ask this stuff, but they have to go after and bring down a few pegs, I guess I would say, any country that looks like they could be of any competition to the United States. So that's what they're doing, and that is exactly what Donald Trump is doing to Venezuela. And Venezuela, and not only that, they want to go in there and steal the resources. And Maduro, he just put that out. He put out exactly that. He put out exactly, I mean, I put it out. Maduro already knew it. I said that yesterday too, I think. But, you know, they're out to steal the resources of Venezuela. Venezuela has a lot of resources there, you know. And, you know, I have mentioned before, and this is truth as well, I think it was in the year 2007, they discovered that there's a huge oil supply underneath Port-au-Prince in Haiti. Oh, incredible. And then remember, there was a earthquake in Haiti, and the United States was there so fast, they reacted much faster than they react to any natural disaster in the United States, such as Katrina and things like that in Louisiana. The United States was there lickety-split. Venezuela sent people there to help with the earthquake. Of course, Israel did as well, and other countries. And the first thing that happened is the United States ran Venezuela out of there as fast as they possibly could. And the Israelis, a lot of boys and things that were going into the tent of the Israelis were not coming out. I believe they were putting them out the backside. You know, they walked into the front side, and they came out in a stretcher on the back, out of the doctors, helping those supposedly that were injured in the earthquake. And it turns out, well, let me just say, a suspicion is that they were taking organs. They were taking organs. They were looking at people, young boys and things, and they were taking organs. And I don't know how much of that is covered up. I can't even remember the way the rest of the story goes or not, but, you know, you find some poor people. They did this in Brazil. They did it a lot in Brazil, in Sao Paulo and all that. They found people, and they got their organs, and they made deals for the organs of these people. And I don't know, their lives are shortened, lose their liver and things like that. Anyway, I'm just putting out facts. Maria Zakharova talks about that as far as what's going on in Ukraine. Same exact thing. You know, big organ dealers are the Israelis and the Ukrainians. I don't know, it's very strange. There's kind of a, they're kind of joined together in some ways, in a lot of ways. You know, like weapons and all that. There a lot of weapons transfers. And another thing, by the way, in case you didn't know this, they are sending they're sending a lot of military guy out for his dog. I guess he's wearing his BDs. He's probably not on duty, but he's wearing his uniform. But they're sending weapons and doing a lot of training in Africa, the Ukrainians. Terrorism, huge amounts of terrorism. Oh, but they're not terrorists. No, they're a thriving democracy. Look at this. I wonder if this is a kind of what you would call a gated community. Look at this. They're not taking very good care of the grass necessarily. They need to, but it looks like, I don't know, it probably says do not enter. You don't see any people in there at the moment, by the way. Interesting. Let me keep going. Okay, $55,000 worth of eggs. So, along with that, fueling the conflicts and things, as you all know, the Ukrainians, and they even admitted it, obviously, they blew up the Druzhba, the southern branch of the Druzhba pipeline 3 times already. You know, this is providing oil to the south, and I talk about this all the time, but a statement that came out yesterday by our good friend Vladimir Zelensky is that's sanctions. Blowing up the pipeline for his colleagues in the European Union, which he is trying to join, is just sanctions. It's just sanctions. What a very nice guy. What a nice guy. I mean, think about it. Incredible. Sanctions. Some guy also speaking English. A lot of people stop and they listen and look at me. I don't know. I don't really like it. I should live in an English-speaking country and people wouldn't pay as much attention. Look at this pathway. I wonder where that goes. Another road down that way there. Let me sit on the purple bench. Okay. I'll tell you what, I've never been here before. So lady, her dog going to the bathroom over there. Okay. So Macron, he says, this is interesting stuff. He says that 26 countries are willing or want, I'm not exactly sure how he worded this, and you know, you have to ask each of them, because a lot of them definitely want, such as the Baltic states, the Chihuahua, the little countries with their powerful Estonia with 4,000 people in their entire military is going to take on 1.5 million Russian soldiers and demolish them. So, you know, you got to watch out for Estonia. You know, they might bite into your pant leg, you know, as being a Chihuahua state. So anyway, Macron says 26 countries, and they want to go to send troops into Ukraine as soon as there is a ceasefire, or as hostilities are halted anyway. So they want to send peacekeepers into Ukraine. And you know, there's a lot of problems with that when you think about it. Sure, there can be a ceasefire. Sure, there can be a stop in hostilities. Sure, there can be a signing of an agreement, you know, right away. Hey, look at this little guy. Hey, what's up, guy? But you can have a stopping in the hostilities, and then somebody will disobey, and guess who that will be? They'll bomb somebody in the Donbass, which will obviously be the Ukrainians, and everybody will say, oh, it's not any big deal. And then of course, a violation of the ceasefire or the peace or whatever. How many times has Ukraine done this already? And yeah, and then all of these people are supposed to be there in a, what, you know, as peacekeepers. They didn't do it, but you know, Ukraine did it. So what are what's going to happen there? I don't know. It's like another conflict, Ukraine and Russia. So yeah, what do you expect is going to happen? So that's going to happen. That's definitely going to happen. It's not like even saying, oh, this could happen. That's definitely going to happen. Do you think these people are going to keep the peace? Absolutely not. It's just like the first time, you know, the Minsk agreements. You know, it was a brokered, you know, from the one side with by you know, one side of course was Russia, the other side was Ukraine and France and Germany, and then they even put out later Ukraine, France, and Germany said they just tricked. Their whole thing was to trick Russia. They had no intention whatsoever of obeying that peace agreement, and they were just tricking Russia, and then they were going to build up forces so that they can continue fighting Russia. That's what it was all about. And it's like Russia would have to have like stupid written on their forehead to go along with this kind of stuff again. What's the expression, you know? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Do you think Russia's going to go around for that? You know? And so, but Vladimir Putin said this morning in the Eastern Economic Forum over there in Vladivostok, he said that if any troops that are going to be there, that includes United States troops, by the way, even though U.S. troops are already there, they're firing off the HIMARS and these ERAMs, you know, these extended range ballistic missiles. And of course, I even put out yesterday that Merz, Friedrich, komm tanz mit mir, ich geb dir auch ein Ei. Nee, sagt der kleine Friedrich, ich hab genug für zwei. Friedrich, komm tanz mit mir, ich geb dir auch ein Apple. Nein, sagt der kleine Friedrich, ich hör nicht dein Gesappel. That's kind of a, I think that's, yeah, Plattdeutsch. That's a, if you speak German, some of the words you may not know, unless you know like the Plattdeutsch, that's the northern dialect in Germany. But anyhow, Friedrich Merz, every time I hear his name, Friedrich, I always think of that. But I think they called, in that song, it's called Friedeling. Maybe that's the word in Plattdeutsch. Plattdeutsch, not Plattdeutsch, Plattdeutsch for Friedrich. Anyway, it's not interesting to you guys. But anyway, he is very anxious. I said yesterday, he really, really wants to get those Taurus missiles there. So he wants to probably show that he is that I'm a man, I can send missiles. That's what men do. Look at these arms, look at these hands, like Trump. Look at these arms, because I can send missiles there. I can sign a piece of paper. Look at this, look at these hands. I can sign a piece of paper and send some of my people to die by Russian artillery, and then we can go to war with Russia, even though we're not ready yet. That was another interesting thing, you know, we're talking about, I was talking with somebody, and of course this was also coming out of Russia, which came out of Germany first, and the Germans are actually saying that, you know, if you guys don't know, you know, Ursula von der Crazy, before she became the European Commissioner, she was the German's defense minister, and I'm very familiar with the German military, at least from the old days. My cousin was in the German military. Let me just tell you that little story too, going off on tangents. I'll see if I can find my way back when I'm getting there. But it's very strange, because I was in the American military, and in the barracks next to mine was my cousin, and he was in the German military. And I worked on a different post because I worked for the commanding general of American and German forces in all of Germany, so the big boss. And he was the building that I worked in. He worked in the building next to that one on a different post. So we were neighbors where we lived, and we were neighbors where we worked. Oh, shut up. And there's some guys testing their horn. They don't like me making videos. Maybe they're Ukraine fans. But anyway, what I was going to say is Ursula von der Leyen. Hey, I found my way back in my conversation. Ursula von der Leyen, she was the Minister of Defense previously, before she became the European Commissioner. And of course, back in my day, the German military was actually pretty good. They're a shadow of their former self of the time when they were the Wehrmacht in World War II. But that they were still very good, they were efficient, and they were small, and it was a completely different sort of a deal. And then when Ursula von der Leyen was the defense minister there, she ran it into the ground. It was a sorry state. It's just like even some of these Germans, a lot of them are talking about how she ran the European Union into the ground, which she certainly did. The European Union, what a terrible management job she's doing. She did a terrible management job. She's just basically gets out. She maybe sounds pretty good when she's up in there speaking in front of a microphone, but she is just crap. She doesn't have the faintest idea on what she's doing, apparently. She can just get up there and talk, but really terrible management skills. Can't back anything up. Wow. It's not like, for example, Tulsi Gabbard or some other people. Not even Christine Lagarde. Lots of people. They're just much better. She is really terrible. Maybe she's another, what is it called, Annalena Baerbock. I don't know where they're getting these crappy women. I'll bet you even Kristi Noem, who's new to, you know, the, what is it called in America? Anyway, that thing about the borders and all that, she's probably doing an even much better job, even though she didn't have any experience in anything like that, as far as I know. How do you get these idiots like Ursula von der Leyen? I tell you what. But anyway, so Germany is really gone, and Friedrich wants to send these missiles there, and yes. So anyway, that's gonna be heck. And where was I at? I was talking about Merz and his wanting to send a lot of troops there. So that's a terrible idea as well. Oh, what I was getting to is what Putin said. I didn't write it down here, but Putin said that they will view any troops, any troops, United States troops, doesn't matter where they're from, any troops that are being sent to Ukraine. And by the way, after this so-called hostilities are over, because this is going to be part of the agreement, is that no foreign troops will be sent there. So, you know, Donald Trump is sitting there and he can't come up with any kind of a way whatsoever how he is going to give security guarantees to Ukraine. And I'll tell you, like everybody is saying, anybody that you know, that knows really what's in Russia's head is they're not really going to settle for any of this crap. This whole thing is going to end, just like I think Colonel McGregor says, just like I think Scott Ritter says, it's going to end the way Russia wants it to end. Russia is winning. It's not like what Ukraine is saying, but I tell you, it looks like to me, and obviously somebody like Zelensky, I don't think that he is incredibly stupid. I think he knows that there are hundreds of thousands, and I think that according to the leaked information by the Ukrainian government, just a week ago, they lost 1.7 million soldiers. 1.7. I think what did Zelensky's trying to say, 30,000 or something. I don't really know what the heck this guy is trying to say. He's just trying to make it so that people join, instead of them having to go and grabbing people off the streets, taking them out of the movie theaters, taking them from absolutely everywhere, and throwing them to the front line to die as cannon fodder. And that you heard about this this Nazi, the guy that was mostly in charge of burning all those Russians alive in Odessa back in 2014, that somebody gunned him down in the streets. And of course they thought right away, oh, Russia did it. But anyway, they got the guy, and he admitted that he did it, and he said that has nothing to do with Russia. What it has to do with is the fact that they took his son and of course sent him to the front line, and he died. And that's what that's all about. Oh, somebody listen. A lot of people probably just want to hear English here, so they're kind of lingering a lot. You know, well, this guy here. Anyway, so that's what that's about. Anyway, Russia said basically they're dead. Anybody that sends their troops there, you can go ahead and do that, but they're going to die. They're going to bomb them, you know. Good luck. Good luck, all you people. Anyway, that's about all I have to say for right now. There's a heck of a lot of news, and I didn't even go through all of these things I saved and wanted to do this. I just, you know, kind of wanted to do a video and put out something, and I did. So anyway, people, thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. What I forgot to add is I'm going to put some other footage here. For example, I was in a building center and I saw I guess it's a floor cleaner, automatic floor cleaner, little robot. It even winks at you. It has funny eyes and things. It even talks to you. And I'm going to add that on here. And then I also have some little bit of footage I took the other day of some murals, some Russian murals, one on the side of like a building, say like that over there, if you see that side. And somebody, they did a huge mural from little pieces of tile all the way up to the side. Really interesting stuff. And I think I took a picture of another mural not far from where I live, actually, and I'll put that. It's just a photograph, but anyway. Matter of fact, maybe I should have just put that as the front picture of this video anyway. Again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Пожалуйста, пустите дорогу.
Building center here in Minsk. Little friend there doing the floors, I guess. Hello, everybody. It's towards the end of August, and I'm going to some small town outside of Minsk, right outside of Minsk anyway, but I saw this mural. I gotta show this to you. This is absolutely incredible. I don't know how they did this, probably in the Soviet times, but take a look at this. It is huge. And look at this, it's all done with tile. Absolutely incredible. Let me get close here, down to the lower parts of this. I don't know if you can see me. This is not, I'm not using the camera to where I can see if you guys are looking at me or not, but this is just an incredible thing. It says the Vostok Metro exit. It's right near it, by the way. And right across the street, you probably can't see it, is that's the Dana Mall. You know, biggest mall in probably all of Belarus. This is just incredible. I never really even paid attention to this huge mural. It's on an apartment building